Welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Donna Reece, and I am joined now by Dr. LeBlanc, who reviewed abstract number 142. This presentation provided an update of the EMN02 HOVON 95 randomized trial that compared the outcome of patients receiving autologous stem cell transplantation versus non-transplant therapy as part of newly diagnosed treatment.
Thank you, Donna. As you mentioned, this study was based on the phase 3 trial EMN02 study in newly diagnosed myeloma patients, in which there was two randomization, one on intensification, upfront transplant versus VMP without transplant, and the second randomization, consolidation therapy versus no consolidation, followed by lenalidomide maintenance for all patients. Initial results recently published show that at a median follow-up of 60 months, the PFS was significantly improved with the transplant compared to VMP alone. However, there was no difference at that time in terms of overall survival, which was a secondary endpoint. This longer-term analysis assessed overall survival, PFS2, and time to next treatment with a longer median follow-up of up to 75 months.
In your opinion, what were the key takeaways from this presentation?
Most importantly, it was found that the transplant significantly prolonged overall survival in comparison to VMP treatment in newly diagnosed myeloma patients. Specifically, the 75-month survival was 69% in the transplant group versus 63% in the VMP group. In addition, the PFS2 was significantly higher for the transplant group, meaning that the outcome was not worse for the subsequent line of treatment for this group. And the time to next treatment was also in favor of transplant. Furthermore, patients receiving delayed transplant, meaning that they were randomized to VMP intensification initially, then received transplant at time of relapse, had a shorter PFS2 and overall survival compared to patients receiving upfront autologous stem cell transplant. Patients who benefit the most from randomization to transplant were those with unfavorable prognostic characteristics at baseline. Of note, the use of lenalidomide for maintenance after transplant did not result in a higher incidence of second primary malignancy compared to the VMP group.
From the viewpoint of a practicing clinician, what clinical impact do you think these findings might have?
The demonstration in this study of an overall survival benefit for transplant patients is much more important to consider in real-life clinical practice than the fear of potential DNA damage from high-dose melphalan and stem cell transplant and its potential impact on long-term. This study certainly supports the use of upfront transplant in newly diagnosed myeloma patients who are fit enough for high-dose melphalan. What is important to note is that the significance of this clinical trial support to not change the treatment decision made in newly diagnosed myeloma patients because it directly reaffirms our current Canadian clinical practice.
I agree entirely. It is reassuring that we have been offering our Canadian patients the best evidence-based approach of newly diagnosed disease. Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.